Hello and welcome to our next video. In this lesson, we're going to go ahead and add authentication for our users. Now this is going to make sure that we can't see or edit or delete or work with any contact information unless we're logged in as an authenticated user. So this is actually going to be really easy to do. You might be surprised. All we need to do is on all of our action methods that we want to be behind the login wall, or basically if we need somebody to be logged in, we just need to add an attribute called authorize on top of every single one of these declarations. Now by doing this, it's going to make my application so that I can't work with any of the contact information without being logged in. So we'll put an authorize on all of the action results that we're looking at, all of the views that we're going to be rendering. And that will make sure that no matter what, if I go to one of those pages, I have to be logged in. So I'm just going to hit F5 and run it. All right, and so right now we're not logged in, so let's try to go to the contacts page now and see what happens. And look at that, it says you have to log in order to get there. So let's log in, and we'll log in here as this guy. And now that I'm logged in, it should redirect me back to the contacts page. Who thinks it's going to show just my contacts since I'm logged in now? Right, it doesn't. Look at that. It shows not only my contacts, but the other guy's contacts as well. And the reason for that is because we haven't yet set our page to work with who's actually logged in. All we've done now is prevented someone who isn't logged in from seeing the pages. We still need to separate this out though, so that the user who's logged in is only seeing their information. So let's go ahead and close this down, and we're going to stop the application here. What we want to do is we want to leverage this user data. So this information right here, I'm just going to copy that by hitting Control X and actually delete it. And I'm going to take all of this information out of the index page. Because what I want to do is I'm just going to show for right now only the contacts that belong to me. So I need a method that determines who I am. So down here I'm going to create a helper method, and I'm going to call it get current user ID. And it's going to return a GUID. And in there I'm just going to say return new, well, I have this already, new GUID user identity.get user ID. Now I'm also going to create a method right now that we're going to need as well, and it's going to tell me whether or not that this contact actually belongs to me. So this one's going to return a bool, so private bool, and it's going to say ensure is user contact. It's going to take in a contact, and it's just going to basically check that contact to see if that contact matches the user ID. So we're going to return contact.userid equal get current user ID. So there we can determine if I have a contact, I can tell right away, is this contact one that I've created, because the user ID on that contact has to match mine. And this is how I determine who I am. So right now all I want to do though is only prevent listing contacts that don't belong to me. So I'm going to say my user ID equals get current user ID. And now I need to use a little bit of link to make sure I only return the contacts that are mine. So after I get the contacts itself, I'm going to say .where to get a link function passed in here, and I'll basically be able to say xrocket x.userid equal user ID. Now that's going to determine that if I get all the contacts, I'm only going to get the ones where the user ID on the contacts match the user ID of the current logged in user. I'm going to only return that to list. So now as I create, edit, delete, I should still be doing that with my user ID, but I'm only going to be able to list out mine. So I should not be able to edit or delete someone else's. So let's go ahead and hit F5 again. We should still be logged in as that other user, hopefully, from the session state. So this will pop up here any second. And actually, okay, so there we are. Why don't we do something else real quick? On the index page itself, where we have this welcome information, let's go ahead and just comment that out. I'm going to @star it and use that *@ to go ahead and do that. Now, I don't have to rebuild if I'm modifying the CSHTML, so that's not going to cause me any problems that I was already running. I am still logged in as this user, so let's go ahead and go to the contacts page. And now I should only see the contacts that are associated with me, and as well I should not be able to see that information about my user ID anymore. And that's what we have. So my two contacts for Dr. McCoy and Scotty are showing, James Doohan and DeForest Kelly. Let's log off and log in and make sure that we have a separation here with our other user showing Kirk and Spock. And now we have to go to the contacts page again. Is it driving anybody else nuts that we have to type this every time? And there we go. We have William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy here. And so now we have our contacts correct per user. And you can only get to these pages if you're logged in. So there we go. Our system is now a lot more secure already in that you can only see contacts that belong to you, and when you create and edit and delete, they should all belong to you. And you can't even get to the pages anymore if you're not logged in. So that wraps up this video on getting authorization set up, as well as making sure that the page responds to the correct user. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.